friends, welcome to Janet's Cards. I'm here today bringing you this card. It's a Slimline card. This is my second time trying it. It's I'm going to be stamping with an Altenew stamp, Paint a Flower, Tulips, and using also by Altenew, Mod Vase. There's different shape vases, and I chose the rounded one. It also comes with dies to match, so you can cut them out, the different size vases. I'll be using that today, and we'll be doing some stamping with different colored stamps to decorate that vase. But for the Slimline card, I start off with an 8.5 by 11 white cardstock. I cut off 2 1/4 inches off of the length of the card. So you'll have an 8.5 by 8 3/4. Then you cut it 3 3/4 inches by 8 3/4, and you'll usually get 2 panels out of that. For the vase, I'm using a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece white cardstock, centering the stamp in the middle of the card, and picking it up with the door of the MISTI stamping tool. This MISTI stamping tool comes in very handy for when you want to stamp multiple times, which I'll be doing today. I'm putting some washi tape to hold the card. The one magnet with all the stamping, the card can move a little bit, and I really don't want that to happen. I am going to be using Altenew crisp dye ink, and the first color I start with is Arctic. It's a light blue, and originally when I was doing this, I was going to try to do a blue vase with make it look like there's water in it, and that's what started this whole different colors. I wasn't crazy about the way it looked with the water, so I started to add some different colors to the stamp and produced the vase that you see in my project. I am using sometimes just stamping on the edge of the stamp to darken the edges a bit and give it some shading, so it gives it that rounded shape. You'll see that it automatically, sometimes depending how you put the stamp on there, it will give you some color. And that's how I started with this project of the different colors. The next color I use is Sand Dunes, and all I do is just take the stamp and slide it across the stamp and make a mark. You can't really see it too well because it's light, but once you put it down you can see where it is. So I'm just stamping randomly here on the stamp and pressing it down to see what I get. And it's interesting. I really, as I did it, I was liking it more and more and getting more excited with it. I really had fun doing this stamp. The next color is a 1-inch cube of Altenew Crisp ink, Pink Pearl, and just adding some pink to it to give it some more springy colors to it. And again, I'm just taking the stamp pad and just stamping a little, putting a little dab here and there, and then stamping back onto the paper. The next color I use is Caribbean Sky to get a little bit darker blue in there. I go onto the edges to give it a little highlight around the edge of the vase, to give it that rounded dimensional effect that you're seeing come up. It was really, I had fun doing this, and this was the second card, and once you look at both cards, it will be different, all in how you move that stamp across the stamp that's on the glass of the MISTI. The next thing I am going to do is remove this card and let it sit and dry thoroughly while I get ready to do my next step, which is putting the Slimline card that I've already cut into the MISTI. It will overlap the bottom of the MISTI a little bit. That's okay, because what I'll be doing is putting the stamp towards the top. I put the die cut. This is just to give me an idea of where the vase would be in comparison to where the floral bouquet will be. I wanted to line it up and get it a little bit balanced on there. So I just stuck that on there so I could just line up my stamp, my floral, the tulips, onto the MISTI, onto the card in the way I would like it. Moving it around to get it just right. And I wanted the bottom leaves of the flowers to kind of overhang the top, well, towards the back. It'll look like it's in behind the vase. So once I was satisfied, I removed that die and I left the tape just to hold the card in place. And once I was satisfied, I used this VersaFine clear pigment ink. The color is Morning Mist. I don't know if anybody has tried this. I happened to come across it at Michael's. And it was, I saw it in impulse buy. I bought it, and I'm glad I did, because I bought several others and I really like the color. It's a pigment ink, so you can use it with watercolors and with markers, but you need to make sure it's dry and give it a little extra time. It does say it dries quickly, but I did have a little bleeding at one time with the color, so let it dry a little bit. So you don't have that happen, because I had to restart a couple of times. I'm lining up the die on the vase right now, and I'm going to tape it in place and bring it over to my Big Shot cutting machine and cut it out. And there it is. And you can see where it's going to line up and the flowers will be coming out. This is going to be so pretty. I can't wait to get it all done. So the next part, I'm taping it down, the flowers down, and starting to color. I use the Altenew Artist markers. I really love them. I love the nib on the end. That's like a brush. It's not bristles, but it's that, I don't know what you call it, that's a sponge or not, but the end, it just so smoothly. When I first used it, I was just shocked in how it flowed across the paper. I have the whole set. You can get the refills for it, and I did recently purchase some. So here I am coloring it all up. I speeded this up so you don't have to see the whole thing. The basic idea is for this to be my kickoff for a spring challenge, and I'm doing spring colors, and of course tulips are spring flowers. So I'm using it as an example, and if you want details to the spring challenge and the rules, there's not many rules, but you can go to my website, and that will be listed below, so you can hop on over and see. This video will be there with pictures, and a supply list will also be there, and at the end of this video. I am now using some paper, lemon chiffon by my favorite MFT, my favorite friends, my favorite things. I'm sorry, that's really bad of me, but it was a 8.5 by 11 that I cut down to an 8 by 9 and scored it at 4 inches. Lemon chiffon by my favorite things. On the other card, I used Meadow is the color, and that's from Hero Arts. From the Tulips stamp set, I took the word love, and I used that, and then there's small little sentiments that you can put, love you, different little sentiments. I used a different one on this card than the other one. First card, I'm sorry, I'm stretching over. The card we're making right there is Sending You Love. The script is very small, but to see it on the camera. And the other card I had put, For My Love, you are my one and only. So it's very pretty. I love the fine lines in the word love. I am using VersaMark ink and using Wow Gold embossing powder to emboss the sentiment to the top of the card. And I'm ahead of myself here. Making sure that it's on there well. I'm watching my own video and I see how the magnet slid across the top. I'm going to tell you it didn't happen on this card, but it did happen on one of my others. When the magnet slid across, it smeared the VersaMark ink, which I couldn't tell because you can't see it that well. But when I put the embossing powder, I noticed the smear, and it was ruined, and I had to put the sentiment on a separate piece and then put it over the smear. So I was able to save the card, but just an FYI, be careful when you take the card out and the magnet goes over the embossing ink. It will smear it and then it can ruin your sentiment. So here it is after I embossed it, and you can see all the different colors. I tried to make different color flowers in there. The hard thing is trying to get a white daisy. I used a very light gray, and to make the petals a little bit more white, I used the white gel pen just to put little lines on it to get the daisy to look like white daisies. I'm doing the heat to the embossing powder now, and I just love the way it changes when it melts. The card, every time you heat it, kind of curls a little bit, so I always do it on heat one side and heat the other side and just kind of roll the card. But it's going to be adhered to that lemon chiffon, my favorite things. Cardstock, which is a good sturdy cardstock. I'm not sure of the weight, but it's a heavier weight than what my face card is, so it will hold up really well. I am using some double-sided foam tape to adhere the base to the card to give it some dimension and to get the feeling that the flowers are in the vase, trying to give it some more dimension. I wanted to be sure I had enough tape on there. I didn't want that piece to move, especially if I mail it somewhere. Nowadays the mail gets kind of squished. They've been so busy with all the home deliveries because of COVID. So I adhered that to the front card, the focal card, and now I'm using dot tape just a little bit to hold the card closed. And then I line up. I like to use my scoring board, that edge, and push it up against the edge. It stops it from moving and holds it in place. So when I want to mount the focal card down to the card base, it doesn't shift or move around. I saw this tip on another video and said, oh, I can do that. That's a good idea. You pick stuff up when you watch other people's videos. I learned so much from watching them. Here I'm using Connect glue by Gina K. I also love to watch her videos. She's so good. Been doing it a lot longer than I have, but I really like that glue. I've got different types, and that one's my favorite. It dries clear, so if you're putting embellishments on the card and the glue looks like it's coming out the edge of the embellishment, don't worry, it'll dry clear and you never know it's there. Also, when using it, it gives you just a little leeway, so if you have to shift your card to center it a little bit, you have that time, but it dries pretty fast. I'm rubbing it down to make sure it stays down, and looking at my card and deciding, okay, what embellishment am I going to do on this? I had put gold gel pen dots around the flowers on the other card. But here I'm using the Nuvo, the glitter gel dots. I think this is Blizzard something. I'm so sorry, I didn't write that down. Forgive me. But I put the little dots on to give it that watery, dewy feeling that it just rained. If you have good eyes, you can see Blizzard. I'm sorry, bad Jan. So here's the other card, the two cards side by side. They each have their own unique style with the vases, and the flowers are different colors. I thank you for visiting and watching my video, and please feel free to go to my website and my blog and check it out, and please enter the contest. Thank you. Have a good day.